everyone, what's up? Welcome to the GMB channel. Hope you will enjoy our video. Before we begins, hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Here is the news title: Keir Starmer plots major Brexit U-turn over free movement. Anti-Brexit. Campaigners have voiced delight after it was revealed the government plans offering Brussels a huge concession. Keir Starmer is planning on offering the EU a huge concession over their long-demanded youth mobility scheme, sparking joy from anti-Brexit campaigners. It has been reported that Britain is set to give in to Brussels' demands for a free movement scheme for people aged 18-30 in a blow to border sovereignty. Despite spending months promising the government is not considering such a proposal, this morning, The Times says, British negotiators have put forward plans that will allow thousands of youngsters from the continent to come to Britain for work and study. The leaked proposals suggest they will be entitled to come to the UK for 2 years, with the possibility of a 1-year extension. However, the government is demanding certain mitigation measures in order to reduce pushback from Brexiteers. They include an annual cap on numbers to avoid negative immigration headlines, as well as demanding that those who come pay an NHS surcharge. Any European youngsters coming to Britain on the scheme would also be denied benefits. Despite the attempts by Sir Keir to put forward a compromise, Remainers have voiced delight at the plan. Liberal Democrat MP Mike Martin quipped that Labour is now backing Lib Dem policy, adding, "Good to see the government is listening." One of Labour's most vocal anti-Brexit MPs, Stella Creasy, backed the report, posting on X. EU Youth Mobility Scheme offers chances to our young people to travel to skill up and support for UK economy too. Those who oppose should explain, why okay to have with other countries but not our neighbours? Join us in Labour Europe backing these talks. Former Green Party leader Natalie Bennett also pointed out that her party had been demanding such a scheme since Brexit. She added, "Could go some way to restoring rights and freedoms of young Britons. Let's keep the pressure up. Make politics what you do, not have done to you." Former Tory MP and Brexit backer Tom Hunt blasted, "The vast majority of British people want to live in a self-governing country. They don't want to be moved back into the supranational bureaucracy of the EU. We voted to leave the EU in 2016. Here we are 9 years later having debates about losing our sovereignty." The Times reports that even Britain's modest proposals to mitigate the scheme, including restrictions on benefits and a cap on numbers, will be met with resistance by Brussels. One official fumed, "It is offensive, to be frank, that Europeans are seen as a negative, as an influx of cheap foreign labor, not as the positive of people-to-people contacts, fostering better understanding." It's rumored the cap will stand at around 70,000. BBC Breakfast's Naga Munchetty shuts down co-star saying, "I don't want to hear it." Presenter Naga Munchetty failed to hold back her true feelings on the latest edition of BBC Breakfast, as she told her co-star, "I don't want to hear it." BBC Breakfast presenter Naga Munchetty appeared seemingly unimpressed following a damning weather report from Matt Taylor. Naga and her co-star Charlie State were back for another installment of the news show on Friday, February 21st, delivering the latest headlines from the UK and other parts of the world. During the show, however, Naga couldn't hold back her disdain when weather reporter Matt revealed that things may look great in the UK now, but is bound to change due to the wet weather. As his detailed account came to a close, Matt said, "Sunday, though, and Naga and Charlie, it's back to wet and windy. I'll have more on that in half an hour." But Naga replied, "I don't know if I really want to hear it, to be honest." Matt replied, "It's not really a hard sell there, was it?" Naga then jokingly said, "Not really. Work on that, Matt." She giggled as she moved on to another segment in the show. The news comes after Naga was shown immense support from fans following her 4-month-long injury. Last week, BBC Breakfast host Naga Munchetty seemed thrilled as she got back into running for the second time that week after being sidelined for 4 months due to an injury. She shared a sweaty post-run selfie on Instagram, captioning it, "Yes, I did it again, feeling stronger every day, Taking a careful approach to returning to her exercise routine, the 49-year-old acknowledged that she was taking it slowly. After seeing her post on Instagram, one fan wrote, "Well done, good girl Naga. Take care." While another penned, "Well done. Consistency is key, like with most things." Naga previously discussed her injury on BBC Breakfast last year. She said, "At this moment I'm injured. My foot is injured and I've had to walk very, very slowly. It was very badly injured. For about 6 weeks I've been limping." When asked how she was injured, she jokingly said it was down to kicking someone who gave me unsolicited advice. BBC Breakfast airs Monday, Sunday from 6 a.m. on BBC One. Is reportedly planning a significant policy shift regarding Brexit, specifically concerning the movement of young people between the UK and the European Union. Reports suggest that Starmer's government is considering a youth mobility scheme that would allow individuals aged 18-30 from EU nations to live, work, and study in the UK for up to 2 years, with a potential 1-year extension. This proposal marks a substantial shift from previous government rhetoric, where any suggestion of reintroducing aspects of free movement was denied. The revelation has sparked joy among pro-EU campaigners and opposition parties who have long called for a reversal of what they view as Brexit's restrictive immigration policies. Anti-Brexit advocates see the move as a positive step towards restoring opportunities for young people to travel and work across Europe. Stella Creasy, a Labour MP known for her pro-European stance, has endorsed the proposal, emphasizing its benefits for British youth seeking opportunities abroad and for the UK economy, which could benefit from skilled labour. Similarly, Liberal Democrat MP Mike Martin welcomed the decision, highlighting that it aligns with his party's existing stance on free movement. The Green Party, which has consistently advocated for maintaining strong ties with the EU, also expressed approval, with former leader Natalie Bennett asserting that such a scheme would partially restore freedoms lost due to Brexit. However, the proposal has faced strong resistance from Brexit supporters and Conservative MPs who view it as an erosion of the UK's hard-won sovereignty. Tom Hunt, a former Tory MP and staunch Brexit advocate, criticized the scheme, arguing that it undermines the 2016 referendum result and moves the UK closer to rejoining EU structures. The government has attempted to introduce measures to mitigate opposition, including an annual cap on the number of participants, reportedly around 70,000, and the requirement for migrants to pay an NHS surcharge. Additionally, those who enter under the scheme would be ineligible for UK social benefits, aiming to assuage concerns about strain on public services. Despite these measures, EU officials have reportedly expressed frustration at the constraints attached to the scheme, arguing that it treats European workers as a liability rather than as a valuable addition to British society. An anonymous European official stated that Brussels would resist attempts to impose strict conditions, particularly regarding benefits and caps. The potential youth mobility scheme comes amid broader debates over post-Brexit relations between the UK and the EU. With economic challenges, labour shortages, and political shifts influencing discussions, Starmer's willingness to reconsider aspects of Brexit policy suggests a more pragmatic approach to UK-EU relations. However, the extent to which this policy will be implemented, and the response from both pro- and anti-Brexit factions, remains to be seen. As discussions progress, Starmer faces a delicate balancing act, appeasing the pro-EU faction within his party and the broader public who seek closer ties with Europe, while also managing the expectations of Brexit supporters who fear any perceived backtracking on the referendum result. The final shape of this youth mobility scheme will likely be a test of Labour's ability to navigate the complexities of post-Brexit Britain while maintaining electoral support across different segments of the population. Season 2, Episode 6 explained from Attila the Hun history to Bert's real identity. Fans are keen for answers about the latest episode. This week, things took another unexpected turn on Severance. Viewers saw the dinner between Audie Irving, played by John Turturro, and Audie Burt, Christopher Walken, and his husband Fields, John Noble, play out. Meanwhile, Ragabi, Karen Aldridge, decided it was taking too long to reintegrate Mark, Adam Scott, and wanted to speed up the process. Inside Lumen, things were getting surprisingly steamy for Mark and Helly, Britt Lower, and Dylan, Zach Cherry, had another visit from his Audi's wife Gretchen, Merritt Weaver. Milchick, Trammell Tillman, on the other hand, was trying to make improvements. After his disastrous performance review, which included the incorrect use of paperclips and using long words, not to mention the small matter of nearly getting the future head of the company killed. Here's a dive into some of the biggest questions from Attila and what it could all mean. Who really is Bert, and why is his Audi going to hell? Irving's dinner with Bert and Fields saw the retired O&D worker saying he'd been a scoundrel in the past, hence his decision to join Lumen so his innie could go to heaven with his husband Fields. Despite fans wanting to believe this cute and innocent explanation, it was clear Irving knew something dodgy was going on. It also begs the question of what terrible things Bert has done in his life to make this declaration with his husband in agreement about his past misdeeds. Fans have already had their suspicions about the supposedly benevolent character. One Redditor posted, "Bert is the one who's been reintegrated. I see a lot of people talking about Irv being reintegrated in the EP4S2 for some reason, when there was no indication of that. But I have another theory, and I didn't really see anyone discussing it. To me, it's kind of obvious that Bert is the one who was reintegrated, but I still might be wrong, so don't come at me. I'm open to an honest discussion, but don't be rude, please, Amick." The fan then listed Bert's crying while watching Irving talking on the phone as another example of his integration and knowing what was going on. Another Severance fan wrote, "To me, the biggest clue to this being true is the way Bert spoke in his exit video, mentioning so many times that he doesn't really know the colleagues he was making the tape for. It really felt like he was trying to convince us he didn't know them." A third suggested, "I think Bert and Irving were previously together. When we see the door open finally, we will see Bert questioning what Irving is doing there. I think Bert is the heartbroken one, Essek. There have also previously been suggestions Bert is the real mastermind at Lumen, and this was compounded in the episode when he stressed to Irving he hadn't been with the company, which would have predated the severance procedure and the company opening severed floors. It would also mean Bert was part of Lumen before he was severed. One fan previously posted, "Is it possible that with Bert everything is not so simple? Could he also be from a higher council in Lumen, like Helly?" In the first season, he lied to Irving that there were only 2 people working in their department, although this is far from true. Yes, then there was an explanation that Bert did not trust Irving's department, but still it is quite strange. After this episode, it seems fairly clear Bert is some sort of evil figure, but the extent remains unknown. What is the history of Attila the Hun? Bert and Fields called each other Hun as a pet name before changing to Attila due to it being a derogatory term towards Germans during the interwar years. Attila the Hun was a 5th century king and the most successful barbarian ruler of the Hunnic Empire, wreaking havoc on the Roman Empire across Europe. He earned the nickname Scourge of God due to his acts of cruelty inflicted upon his enemies. According to biography.com, Attila the Hun was ruthless in his ambitions as he sought to gain power and ruled his empire from 440 to 453 AD. In short, Bert and Fields' nickname for each other is highly questionable. Did Bert help Drummond to break into Irving's house? This feeds into whether Bert invited Irving over to his house, so Lumen board member Mr. Drummond, Olafur Darri Olafsson, could snoop around in his home. Given the previous evidence and Bert's tears, it suggests he could well have helped Mr. Drummond and yet be conflicted by his decision. Again, it would suggest Bert was very much onto Irving and is trying to shut down his investigations.